12th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a preview of your HAN newspapers this week and the latest headlines, including another continuance granted in a Weston animal cruelty case, a Norwalk man arrested for driving drunk to pick up his child in New Canaan, and the latest on the Saddle Ridge development proposal in Easton. Frank Granito will join us with a look at the forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and later on, Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history. But first, after an intense search in Trumbull before sunrise today, police have a Bridgeport burglary suspect in custody. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that around 5:30 in the morning, Bridgeport and Trumbull police searched for the man in the area of Manor Drive in Trumbull, along the banks of the Pequannock River. The paper reports that about 45 minutes later, that man was taken into custody near the White Plains Road exit of Route 25. Bridgeport police pursued that burglary suspect into Trumbull, where, according to police reports, he crashed his car into a tree in the vicinity of White Plains Road. The man then fled from the scene, crossing the swollen waters of the Pequannock River into Trumbull backyards. The vehicle had substantial damage, leading police to believe that the man may have been injured. Police searched across the area that included Route 25 and the Merritt Parkway. The suspect was taken into custody about a mile from where he had fled from the crashed car. He was taken to St. Vincent's Medical Center in Bridgeport to receive medical attention. And in New Canaan, a 45-year-old man who was suspected to be a parent picking up a child from St. Aloysius School while intoxicated around 2:50 in the afternoon on January 11th was arrested by New Canaan police and charged with impairing the morals of a child and driving under the influence. Police say they received a complaint about the man at the school, and when they arrived, they found 45-year-old Paul Saya of Norwalk pulling his car out of a parking spot with his child not properly secured in a safety restraint system. They also found a liquor bottle in the center console. Police say that upon speaking with Saya, they detected an odor of alcohol and they administered field sobriety tests, which he failed. The man refused a breath test to determine blood alcohol content. He was charged and released on a $5,000 bond, scheduled to appear in court January 12th. And two Milford men have been arrested in connection with a residential burglary in which a shotgun was taken from a home. Police say that 30-year-old David Guerra of 12 Bridgeport Avenue and 28-year-old Gordon Clark of 29 Westfield Road were arrested on a warrant January 9th. Guerra was charged with third-degree burglary, conspiracy to commit burglary, and theft of a firearm. Clark was also charged with burglary as well as conspiracy to commit burglary, among other charges. Guerra and Clark are accused of committing a residential burglary back on October 4th when a shotgun was taken from the home. You can get more on that story at milfordmirror.com. And Daniel Copulus, who was arrested for animal cruelty in Weston back in September, was granted another continuance, his third in total, at Norwalk Superior Court last Friday. Copulus is now scheduled to appear in court on Monday, February 6th. The court is currently awaiting his plea of guilty or not guilty. Copulus appeared in court twice last year on October 24th and November 30th and was granted a continuance in each case. He was arrested back on October 11th and charged with animal cruelty under the Connecticut State Statute 53247. The cruelty charge was based on the custody and condition of 224 animals that were moved from his home on Newtown Turnpike last September. Police were called to the scene after a report of a bad odor coming from the house, and when they arrived, officers found hundreds of exotic birds, reptiles, and snakes, many in poor condition or dead. But there's a lot more on that story at thewestonforum.com. And Orange police say a Florida man has been charged after driving his pickup truck in circles on his ex's lawn. 27-year-old Edward Buffington was arrested December 30th after police were called to a residence on Garden Road around 12 in the morning. The resident there reported that someone in a pickup truck was driving over their lawn in circles. Officers found that suspected vehicle a short distance away, and officers learned that the driver, Buffington, had had a prior relationship with the resident and was apparently upset over her current relationship status. He was charged with disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, and operating a motor vehicle while under suspension. And in other news, an Uber driver from New Haven was arrested January 9th in connection with allegations he tried to use a rider's credit card to buy $519 worth of Viagra. Hearst Connecticut media reports that David Walker of Poplar Street was picked up by West Haven police on an outstanding Fairfield warrant and charged with fifth-degree larceny as well as credit card theft and receiving goods or services obtained illegally. Walker's arrest stems from a September incident when a Fairfield resident left her purse in his car after getting a ride through the ride booking service Uber. A half hour after she attempted to report her stolen purse, she received a fraud alert that her credit card was used in an attempt to buy Viagra online. There was also a $45 purchase at a gas station near Walker's home. With the cooperation of Uber, police were able to determine that Walker, who's 30 years old, was indeed her driver and that he had no other passengers for the 24 hours after he dropped her off. But let's switch gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Mild outside today and a high of 55 degrees. Mostly cloudy skies, and we'll see scattered showers throughout this afternoon. Breezy with wind gusts that could reach as high as 30 miles per hour today. A low of 40 overnight with partly cloudy skies early on and a chance for one or two more passing showers before Friday morning. Some early morning clouds should make for mostly sunny skies tomorrow with cooler temperatures back in the lower 40s. That number will feel closer to 30 though, with strong winds expected throughout the afternoon. Chilly overnight, temperatures falling into the low 20s, and cloud cover will increase as we get closer and closer to Saturday morning. And it will be cloudy for most of the day on Saturday, an expected high of 31 degrees. It looks as though the expected snow we thought we would see is going to miss Fairfield County to the north. Mostly overcast throughout the day. There is a possible flurry that could pass through the county before some intervals of sun and clouds on Sunday to wrap up the weekend. That's going to do it for this weather update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, we are going to step out for a break, and when we come back, Donald Eng will join us to take a look back on this day in history. And Frank has your Nutmeg Sports update, and we have more local news coming up after this.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Start Something New sales event, now through January 31st.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Are you ready for winter? Ski and Sport has everything you need to be fully outfitted for the season. A family-owned and operated business with over 40 years of experience, Ski and Sport's 3 convenient locations in Fairfield County offer top-quality, high-fashion ski and winter wear. In addition to clothing for men, women, and children, we also offer seasonal rentals for the entire family. Stop by our stores on 1 Ethan Allen Highway in Ridgefield, 877 Post Road East in Westport, and at 110 Main Street in New Canaan. Or visit us at skiandsport.net.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this January 12th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Eng. Don.
Well, it was an icy reception for an LA area doctor, but first though we go to 1904. Speaking of ice, Henry Ford on a frozen lake sets a land speed record of 91.37 miles per hour, driving the Ford 999, essentially a 19-liter four-cylinder engine capable of a whopping 70 horsepower that was simply bolted to a chassis. The record stood for a few weeks, but it made Ford synonymous with performance. Ford racing cars have gone on to win 34 manufacturers' world championships. 1921, following the Black Sox scandal, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis elected Major League Baseball's first commissioner. He was named after the Civil War Battle of Kennesaw Mountain, where his father had lost his leg, but old dad, not much of a speller. Kennesaw, two N's in Kennesaw. Landis ruled baseball with an iron fist for 24 years, but his first act as commissioner remains his most famous, banning the 8 members of the Chicago White Sox. To 1969, the Jets of the AFL defeat the Baltimore Colts of the NFL to win Super Bowl III. Interesting fact about that game, it was the first Super Bowl to actually be called the Super Bowl, and Commissioner Pete Rozelle hated the name. He actually wanted to call it the Merger Bowl after the AFL and NFL's planned merger. The league didn't begin using those blocky Roman numerals until Super Bowl V. Finally, now we go to 1967 for this.
The possibility of life after death is explored in Phoenix, Arizona by the Cryonic Society. They believe that cryobiology, the freezing of biological matter, is the answer. They propose freezing bodies in cold storage capsules. Scientists are mostly skeptical. A model demonstrates how one person, a California man who died of cancer, has already been frozen. A freezing liquid replaces the blood supply, and the subject is wrapped in aluminum foil and placed in a capsule at 220 degrees below 0 centigrade.
Yes, and that California person he referenced there, Dr. James Bedford, today, the first person ever cryogenically frozen with the intent of future resuscitation. That is today in 1967. Bedford had died of cancer, and his body remains frozen at the Alcor Life Extension Foundation in Scottsdale, awaiting the cure. Although he was frozen a few hours after his death, so with no thought given to the lack of oxygen to his brain for that time, so we may need to wait for a cure for brain death also. Anyway, details. That is your look back in history for today, January 12th, and I'm Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, Ridgefield Fire Chief Kevin Tappy has retired, ending a nearly 5-decade career in firefighting and the town's investigation into an unspecified violation of town policy that had him on administrative leave the last 3 weeks. The fire department is now being led by Assistant Chief Jerry Myers, and town officials are fending off requests for further information about the alleged policy violation and the unfinished investigation into it. Tappy spoke to the Ridgefield Press, saying that he was happy to be retiring from the Ridgefield Fire Department and he thinks the time is right. Tappy spoke to the press on Thursday, January 5th, a day after the Board of Selectmen, acting as the Town Fire Commission, voted to formally accept his retirement, cutting short that investigation. Human Resources Director Lori Fernandez had been investigating the matter since Tappy was put on administrative leave back on December 22nd. Tappy said he couldn't comment on what the town was doing, but the selectmen's vote came in public session after nearly an hour of closed-door executive session discussions. And the town isn't saying much more since. It released a separation agreement with Tappy, but declined Freedom of Information requests for further information on that investigation. You can get more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. Let's throw it back over to Frank now for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And from the Darien Ice House last night, the HAN Network was live for a game featuring the top 2 teams in the FCI Conference for girls hockey. That was Greenwich, who came in at 4-0 on the season with 8 points in the start of conference play, and New Canaan 2-0 with 4 points. Greenwich's Grace Fahey opened up the scoring at the 9:43 mark of the first period, and Jennifer Kelly made it a 2-0 game a period later with 5 minutes remaining in the second, as the Cardinals dominated the first 2 periods of play. Trailing by 2, though, entering the third, the Rams were able to fight their way back, getting goals from Jess Eccleston and Liz McCarthy, who scored with 49 seconds remaining to send this game into overtime. But once again, both teams' rookie goaltenders were the best players on the ice. They held both offenses off the board for the 8-minute overtime, playing this one out to a 2-2 tie. Let's take a look at the highlights from last night.
Dwayne turned that one over at the red line, and back come the Cardinals with speed. Walled off by Ellsworth. The pass gets across, shot, and score! Grace Fahey with the finish. What effort in the slot coming from Jennifer Kelly. Ellsworth to the slot. Missing the first time. Second shot. Third shot, a save. Grabbed again, but they poked it in goal. Unmarked on the back door was Paige Finneran, but the play started on the right wing when Riley Ellsworth sent a beautiful pass through the slot. Net. Has looked very confident in goal, too. Again, that second goal, really nothing she could do as Eccleston fires one on Cage and buries one. The Rams finally get an answer. The sophomore defenseman joined the rush. Pinching and holding the zone that time was Sparks. Open in front to the backhand. What a save on the split. Rebound goes wide as Connell couldn't convert.
And there goes the goalie.
The guy's going in for the rebound.
Connell shot towards the far post. Tipped around in front. They score. With the extra skater on the ice, the Rams convert. And we are tied at 2 with 49 seconds left. And credit the Rams for the effort as they're going to earn a point in the tie. Coming back with 2 goals in the third. We will end in a 2-2 tie.
New Canaan now 2-2-1 on the season. Will play at Wilton Norwalk McMahon. That game on Saturday afternoon. For Greenwich 4-1-3. They travel on the road to Simsbury tomorrow. A tough matchup there for the Cardinals. Tune in to Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll have a full breakdown of this game along with a preview of tomorrow's FCIAC rematch between the West Hill Vikings and Danbury Hatters in boys hoops. And we've got a couple of FCIAC coaches who were named the cross-country Coaches of the Year in Connecticut. Again, all of that coming up at 2 o'clock. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. Well, we're getting some breaking news from HAN's Stratford Star, and that's that there are reports of an armed holdup in Stratford shortly before 11 a.m. this morning. Police were dispatched to TD Bank. Suspects reportedly fled toward I-95, but you can check stratfordstar.com for details as they become available. And in Darien, Baywater Properties presented their revised application for downtown zoning changes during the first 2017 meeting of Darien's Planning and Zoning Commission. The application proposes adjustments to a number of regulations in the area of Post Road and Corbin Drive, including maximum building heights and parking regulations. Those zoning changes are a necessary component of Baywater's planned redevelopment project, which would bring mixed-use residential, retail, and office buildings to an 11-acre portion of downtown Darien. While this was technically the first public hearing for that revised application, it's the 6th time the Commission has heard Baywater's proposal, as Commission Chair John Cini mentioned on Tuesday. The Commission has expressed a desire to design the zone changes in a way that could be applied to other areas of town outside of Baywater's site area. Baywater opted to withdraw the original application during the Commission's deliberations in October of last year. The Commission had scrutinized the proposed building heights, which reached up to 6 stories and 75 feet before the application was pulled. Concerned the redevelopment project may be restrained by the Commission's ruling, Baywater opted to rework the application with more information and lower overall building heights. But there's a lot more on that story at DarienTimes.com. And in Easton, whether the Saddle Ridge developer needs to seek inland wetlands approval for its newest proposal was debated during the most recent zoning hearing on that affordable housing plan. Dory Wolin, who's chairman of the Easton Conservation Commission that serves as the town's inland wetlands agency, insisted a wetlands application should have to be submitted for the new 66-unit, 48-lot development proposal so conservation can offer input on erosion, sedimentation, and stormwater runoff as they relate to pollution. Wolin also said that only the newest proposal includes duplex unit, that a 2014 wetlands approval permit for a previous Saddle Ridge version has never been issued because of pending litigation, and that Conservation Commission members need to walk that project site again to judge the new plan's potential wetlands impact. More on that story at eastoncourier.com. And in recent years, Connecticut residents have been seeing black bears at their bird feeders, in their swimming pools, and strolling along country roads. And those wishing to gain more information about black bears in the area can visit New Pond Farm at 101 Marchant Road in Reading on Thursday, January 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. for an informative evening with one of the state DEEP's black bear researchers, Melissa Ruzczyk. Residents will learn about the natural history and behaviors of those large neighbors and learn about how we can all peacefully coexist. That program is free, but guests will be asked to leave a donation for the DEP's wildlife conservation efforts. Registration is required, and you can find out more at newpondfarm.org. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, John Kovach joins me, and we're going to preview the HAN Network community newspaper front pages this week, coming up after this.
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Palo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
At In Sports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, In Sports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for In Sports fall and winter lacrosse clinics and leagues. With programs ranging from first grade all the way through high school, there's something for every lacrosse player at all levels. Programs include college coaches clinics, youth box winter leagues, high school winter leagues, and 7-on-7 tournaments. For more information and pricing, visit us at insportcenters.com. Like us on Facebook.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Hi, I'm Denise Figuigoli, host of The Drive, here every Tuesday on the HAN Network. It's about how you fuel your mind, your body, your spirit that creates the life you live, with people, places, ideas, and organizations that move us forward mindfully and consciously. Tune into The Drive here on the HAN Network, Tuesdays at 12:30.
What's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State?
Join Kate Czaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN Network.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure with me, Steve Coulter, and our Arts and Leisure editor, Sally Sanders, Mondays at 12:30, right here on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski joined now by our editorial director, John Kovach, to preview the front pages this week of our newspapers. John, happy to have you as always.
Happy to be here.
All right, what are you looking at first?
I am looking at Stratford, where a story where the community is really rallying around these people. A handicapped accessible van that a family needs was stolen. They are still looking for that van, and they're also trying to find ways to help that family out. Bobby Ramos, he was a Stratford police officer. He's been a radio talk show host. He made headlines at the NBA All-Star game, or the NBA Finals a few years ago with a question that got national play. Bobby is being honored at a Martin Luther King Day ceremony. It's a statewide honor. This event is going to be up in Hartford. Coverage of the snowstorm and the continued discussion of transit-oriented development
All right.
in Stratford.
All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Ridgefield Press, and speaking of Martin Luther King Day, Ridgefield has a great King Day ceremony every year, and this year, 2 Ridgefield residents will be honored, one of those being Daniel Sikora, who's been chosen to receive the 2017 Spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Award, and another is going, a posthumous award, is going to Tom Belote, who was a well-known Ridgefielder who worked in the causes of immigrants and refugees. He was an attorney working in that area. He'll be receiving an award as well. And also more debate on whether or not to close a school. This is something that's been ongoing in Ridgefield for a long time. School board members not so eager to do so. Story we just had on Coffee Break, the town not talking about what that potential violation of a town policy was that led to Fire Chief Kevin Tappy being put on leave. He's since retired. And Rudy Marconi's State of the Town talking about heroin deaths recently of young people in town, as well as a lot of other issues, including Mountainside, which is a proposed rehab facility, and a lot more. So a lot of great stuff in this year's Ridgefield Press.
Easton, another of the towns that is facing cuts to state education aid, and they're struggling to deal with that. Zoners in Easton continue to debate the Saddle Ridge proposed development, and First Selectman Adam Dunsby sworn into his new seat on the Connecticut House of Representatives.
All right, well, taking a look at the front page of the Milford Mirror, school superintendent presenting a budget proposal for the next fiscal year that would represent an increase of less than 1% for Milford schools. Another story we talked about earlier this week, a wrong-way driver causing a crash on I-95. A group in Milford leading an Inauguration Day rally at City Hall. They are calling themselves Milford Speaks Out, and they say that they're going to be having this rally and invite everyone who wants to uphold the values of fairness, honesty, integrity, tolerance, and respect. A great walk in the snow photo, a couple walks up Noble Avenue Sunday after the streets had been plowed of Saturday's snow. And Martin Luther King ceremony January 15th at Milford City Hall.
2 artists on the front page of the Reading Pilot. One discussion with Chris Burns about images from the eye to the camera to the screen. Another who did a statue of a benefactor at the University of Rochester. The superintendent of schools discussing the need for about 1.5% increase. Zoners in Ridgefield looking at a proposed pub owned by a Reading resident, and the first skating session at the new seasonal outdoor ice rink at the Reading Community Center was last week.
All right, very cool. Well, taking a look at the Weston Forum, a high-profile property on Norfield Road has a new owner, a Weston businessman, Jess T. Pasquale, and that property had been attempted to be purchased on behalf of the town a couple of times, but that did not go through. Story we just spoke about, Copulus granted a continuance in that horrible Weston animal cruelty case. Awesome picture. Linda Willis submitted this, and it's lighting the night, that Christmas tree bonfire, the Epiphany bonfire that they do each year at Emmanuel Church. And Superintendent William McCursey outlining his goals for the new year.
Brian Hafley got out in Wilton and got some great photos in the snow of some kids enjoying it. A look at this state application that allows budget information in comparison. A look at the session up in Hartford as it opens, and the announcement yesterday, right on their deadline, that Police Chief Robert Crosby will be retiring in April.
All right, John, I'm taking a look at the Shelton Herald. Interesting story here, and that is the Shelton superintendent speaking out about that sleeping bus driver incident that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. It turns out that a local manager at the bus company that subcontracts all Shelton Public Schools bus drivers has been removed from that position following that incident. There's a lot more on that story in this week's Shelton Herald. Branch Library celebrating 25 years, and Shelter Ridge decision delayed. That's a large proposed development down the road on Bridgeport Avenue. Decision on that happening next Tuesday. American Red Cross issuing emergency call for blood, and residents look for support in their Lighthouse contest.
The Darien Board of Education reviewing a proposed increase of just a little more than 2% the budget for the coming year. I believe you just brought us on Coffee Break about the downtown Baywater Properties proposal. Interesting photo there, and that's going to be a show by local artist Lynn Byrne. at the Darien Library. And continuing on the retiring police chiefs, Dwayne Lavello, who I knew when I covered Darien, retiring 35 years on the Darien Police Force.
Wow. All right, well, taking a look at the Trumbull Times, an annual tradition and a great photo sent in to the Trumbull Times by Lisa Romanchik, and that's the Trumbull High track team captains shoveling off the track. That happens every year after a storm. I think it's great. Also, another story we talked about, but Police Commission Chairman Roger McGovern resigning from the Police Commission right before an ethics hearing was scheduled for this Saturday. We're still waiting to find out if that ethics complaint will go forward, despite the fact that he has stepped down from the police commission. Mini golf Monday at the library. That looks like a lot of fun. And of course, another story on the state cuts made to Trumbull's school aid. So a lot of great stuff in the Trumbull Times.
More fun in the snow in New Canaan. Greg Riley went out and got some photos of people enjoying Saturday's snow. This as education and town officials join the rest of the state in trying to figure out how to make up for those state cuts. More than 600 residents are on the commuter parking waiting list in New Canaan, and that's been that way for some time. And First Selectman Rob Malazzi talking about Grace Farms at the New Canaan Men's Club.
All right, the Monroe Courier, again, more talks about ECS cuts and unfunded mandates and the effect that's going to be having on Monroe's budget season. Also, Town Council approving funds to extend their Chalk Hill use to June 30th. School Board also passes a budget, and Health Department urging locals to test for radon, as well as Monroe swearing in new registrar of voters.
Arts and leisure in all of our papers. We'll start the new year with healthy eating, and we'll look at growth and change being highly overrated. This a Stratford author who has published his second book.
I like the title.
Kind of curious about the title.
I love the title. All right, John. Well, that does it for a look at all of our papers, but I know we have Yankee Fisherman coming up today at 1 o'clock.
We have a great guest we recorded the other day, and Jamie Howard of Howard Films spent a decade following the striped bass migration along the eastern seaboard, the fish, the fishermen, the locales, and just thanks to Jamie Howard and Howard Films, we're able to share some of these images from this new movie that just blow you away. It's why people fish.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see it. That's at 1 o'clock. Also, 2 o'clock, Nutmeg Sports. Be sure to check it out. We're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but we will be back tomorrow at 11. Have a great Thursday.